Good evening, everyone, and we are live. Hi, everybody. So it's Monday. It's quite late again. It's 20 past 11. Had to work on a presentation for tomorrow. So it's quite late today. Nevertheless, I hope you had a great day. My day was pretty good. And as always, if you join the chat, then please let the community know where you come from so that we see how international we are today. And also, let me know how your day was. Okay, any new learnings that you got from today? So let us know in the community in the chat. Yeah, I was still working. Yeah, sorry, I had to work on a presentation and I had to work on the slides. South Africa, very cool. Good. Today we have a cool topic. We will talk about anxiety in management consulting. Sorry, I had connectivity issues. So today we will talk about anxiety in management consulting, and this was based on a request. Materials to legal tech essentials. Okay. My girlfriend is actually very busy in the legal tech sector. So she's studying law in Germany, and she founded a kind of she's working for a legal tech organization in Germany. Okay, but nevertheless, topic for today is how to deal with anxiety in management consulting. And as I said, this was based on a request because the question came up in one of my lives recently. And I answered a question in my life, but I thought, okay, this would be a good topic to do a kind of deep dive. Okay, so with that being said, I would say let's start. As always, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. I will go through the content first for 10 minutes, and after that, I will answer all of the questions. So I would say let's start. Good. So, how to deal with anxiety as a management consulting. On this video, I will share my 5 tips on how to deal with fear and anxiety. Hi everyone, my name is Johannes Niari and welcome to this channel, welcome to Mastering Consulting. And on this channel, I want to help you to learn necessary skills to be successful in management consulting while at the same time living a balanced life. And today we have a very interesting topic. We will talk about with anxiety in management consulting. And if you're new to this channel, then please make sure to subscribe to not miss any new videos about skills in management consulting. Let's start. So, how to deal with anxiety in consulting. So the reason why I talk about that, because recently in one of my live sessions, I was asked by someone how I deal with anxiety or if I have any recommendations on how he could deal with anxiety if he talks to the client. And I answered the question in my life, but after that I reflected a bit on it, and I kind of, realized that I suffered a lot from anxiety when I started out. Okay, so I was very nervous when I, even got in touch with my consulting team back then when I did all the interns. Okay, also, when I had to talk to clients, and still today, if I have very important client meetings or if I have to work on very important deliverables, for example, I still am afraid sometimes. I still kind of feel anxiety. So it never stops, okay? And this is why I thought, okay, why not talk about my tips on how to deal with that in order to prepare you for your management consulting career and to kind of prepare you for the case when you feel anxiety the next time, okay? I prepared 5 tips for you, and I would say let's start. Tip number 1 is that you have to accept anxiety as just part of management consulting, okay? Anxiety is pretty normal, and it's actually also a good sign, okay? Because think about it. So when do you have or when do you feel anxiety? You usually feel anxiety if you step outside your comfort zone, okay? And usually this is pretty good because this is the zone where you learn the most, okay? So for example, if you're a junior consultant and you have the first client presentation, so obviously, this is way outside your comfort zone. And of course you are afraid of it. Of course think that you will fuck this up, okay? But this is very, very normal, okay? It's very normal to be afraid. But see it as a good sign, accept it as it's normal, and try to, see it as a sign that you're on the right path because you're going outside your comfort zone and you can expect to learn a lot from what you're about to do, okay? So very important tip number one, accept anxiety as normal and see it as a positive part. Step number two, or tip number two, that I can give you is that you kind of identify the reason for your anxiety, okay? And I think it's very important to do that step because, if you have a very strong anxiety attack, then, or not even attack, but if you feel very strong anxiety, then it's usually sometimes very hard to define what you're actually afraid of, okay? So I think in order to deal with it in a very way, it's crucial to know exactly what you're afraid about, okay? So ask yourself, what are you afraid of, okay? So maybe it's a hard skill you're afraid of, okay? So if you have to build a model, for example, if you have to work on a presentation, for example, maybe you're afraid on working on a deliverable because you don't have the necessary hard skills to do that, okay? Maybe that's a reason for your anxiety. Or maybe it's another reason. Maybe it's a soft skill that you lack, okay? So that you have to do a presentation and you don't know how to present. Or if you have to sell, an idea, or even have to sell a project and you don't feel comfortable with selling, okay? Then it's a lack of soft skills that you're afraid of. Or is it more like knowledge that you don't have? Or even more deeper, is it a kind of lack of general self-esteem that you have? Is it a lack of self-confidence that you have? It's very important. So at the minute you feel afraid, at the minute you feel anxiety, that you start thinking and allocating this anxiety, okay? So what are you actually afraid of? And this is a very necessary step in order to deal with it, okay? And this leads me to step number 3, identify the best and the worst possible outcome, okay? So once you identified what the reason for your anxiety is, then try to paint out some scenarios, okay? So try to identify what is the best possible thing that can happen and what is the worst possible thing that can happen, and also what is the likely thing to happen, okay? And this is also very important because most of your fears have no reason, okay? Or most of the fears, most thing you imagine to happen actually don't happen, okay? I mean, let's say, for example, that you have to do a client presentation. I mean, imagine what is the worst possible thing that can happen. I mean, probably you can get negative feedback, okay? Okay, that can happen. Is it likely that, you get fired because of a bad presentation? I don't know. I don't think so, okay? And just the perspective, or that the worst thing that can happen is actually just to receive negative feedback, for example. This can help you already to kind of reduce your anxiety because, you see that you can fall that deep because, I mean, there's not that much to lose, okay? And in most cases, we kind of overestimate the negative consequences and we kind of underestimate the positive consequences, okay? So this is tip number 3, identify the worst but also the best possible outcome. Then step number 4, and now we talk about how to eliminate your anxiety. And I would talk about, or I think about it in like in 2 time periods, okay? So first, it's the short time, okay? Let's say you have to do a presentation tomorrow and you have to deal with your anxiety now, otherwise you can't sleep, okay? Otherwise you cannot you will blow the entire presentation up. So you have to find short-term fixes to deal with your anxiety. And there are many short-term techniques that you actually can use, okay? So for example, I mean, if we talk about presentation, an easy thing is, just prepare, put more time into preparation. It's a very easy quick fix. Another quick fix is that you get external help, okay? If you're afraid of the presentation, maybe you give your project manager a call, maybe you give a partner a call, maybe you just openly talk about it and try to get some tips on what you can do better, okay? This is also a very good short-term measure. Also, if it's more like a lack of self-esteem, one thing that I recommended in my life is to have a kind of a success list, okay, always with you. I have a success list in my Apple Notes, okay. What is it? It's a list of all the, not all the successes, but of great successes that I had in my life. And every moment I feel a kind of self-doubt, when I don't feel comfortable, I can take out that list, read through all my past successes, and this will fire me up immediately and help me to deal with self-doubt and all of that stuff, okay. So this is tip number 4: eliminate or apply techniques to eliminate your anxiety in the short term. Then tip number 5, and this is probably after the event you are afraid of, okay, but this is also very important: eliminate anxiety in the long run, okay. So what do I mean by that? I just explained how to eliminate anxiety in the short run, but after that it's important, for example, if you have a gap in your hard skills or in your soft skills, or if you have regular problems with your self-esteem, then you need to work on long-term solutions, okay. I think it's very easy with hard skills. The soft skills, if you're afraid of presenting, your solution is that you do a lot of presentation training, that you practice a lot of presenting. If you are afraid of building Excel models because you're not used to it, it's very easy. Just take an Excel course, work on building models, okay. This is how you can eliminate anxiety in the long run. Also, if you have a very if you have a lot of self-doubt, it's also important to work on that in long run, okay. So maybe you read personal development books, maybe you kind of do a course about mental stability or something about that, okay. But it's crucial that dealing with anxiety doesn't stop if the event is over, okay. This is where it begins, okay. So you have to work on long-term solutions to deal with your anxiety, okay. This is very, very important. Okay, so these were the 5 tips. So let's summarize. Tip number 1: accept anxiety as being normal and also see it as a good part, because it shows that you're outside your comfort zone, okay. Tip number 2 is that you identify the reason for your fear, okay. So really ask yourself, what am I exactly afraid of? Tip number 3 is identify the worst but also the best possible outcome of that event, okay. This will help you to kind of rationalize your fear. Tip number 4 is that you need to identify measures to eliminate your anxiety in the short run, okay? And step number 5 is, after the event you were afraid of, that you actually work on eliminating your anxiety in the long run, okay? So those are the 5 tips that I have for you. Those 5 tips definitely helped me and still help me in my career to deal with anxiety every time, I'm afraid of a presentation, I'm afraid of, a meeting, I'm afraid of a certain task. And yeah, I think it helped me a lot and definitely contributed to my career and positive career development in management consulting. So with that being said, if you have any questions, then please write them now in the chat. I will stop the video here to upload it afterwards in YouTube, and after that I will go through all the questions now live in the chat, okay? So if you're on YouTube and if you like the video, then please make sure to subscribe, and also please hit the bell button and leave a thumb up, because this will help the algorithm. Also, if you have any questions on Instagram, you can also write me a personal message, and on YouTube, just write in the comments, okay? So with that being said, I hope this brought value to you. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye, Johannes. Good. Then Let's see if there are any questions. Wow, I lost almost everyone on Instagram in the last minute. Maybe people, guys on Instagram. I mean, do you understand if I have to stop the video on YouTube and then continue on the chat afterwards? Because very often I have the feeling because I get two cameras, one for Instagram, one for YouTube, and it's exactly it's very close, so that you don't see on which camera I look. But I mean, honest question: is it clear that I close the video and after that do the live, answer the live questions? Because very often, people after I close the video just leave the live chat. Maybe I'm not very clear about that. But nevertheless, okay. Let's go through questions. Raoul asks, how important is dress code for a consultant? Very important. It's part of sales and it's part of communication, okay? So how you're dressed, I mean, now it's obviously my homeware style and it's very warm in Germany, so I had a kind of polo shirt only. And this is obviously not how I would have a client call, okay? But yes, it's important, and visual impression is crucial in management consulting. Okay, so try to look kind of neat and professional. I think that's important. Are there any more questions? Legal technologist, yes, I will do a live about problem solving and solve a problem myself, but I need some preparation for that. I will probably do it probably, I don't know, maybe this week. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'm now ready for the questions. Yeah, sounds good. Good. Then let's see if there are any questions on YouTube. No, there aren't. Okay, guys, then I would say let's call it a day. Let's keep it short for today. I will do the next session tomorrow at 11 or at 10, hopefully. Yeah, I will let you know about the topic in advance. And thank you for your time. And it was a pleasure as always. And what strategies can we use long term in terms of what? Legal technologists, can you specify? Like with anxiety? Okay, it depends on what your anxiety is. Okay, so if you are afraid of, I mean, it's the typical stuff is if you're afraid of presenting, yeah, if you're afraid of presenting, then you have to work on that skill. Okay, if you're afraid on I don't know, as I said, building models because you're afraid on building Excel models because you don't have that hard skills, okay, then you need to work on that hard skill. If you in general have a very low self-esteem and self-confidence, then you need find ways to build your self-confidence in the long term. Okay, so I think because anxiety is always very specific to a certain issue. Okay, and it's key to identify that issue and then work on that skill, work on that kind of mindset thing. This is very important. Okay, so it highly depends what you're afraid of. How to do storytelling in a deck? Is there a checklist? I could make one. Well, I think the easiest framework that I can recommend is from Simon Sinek. Okay, it's start with why. Okay, so storytelling in the easiest way, it's very important, that you kind of first explain why you're doing things, then explain what you're doing, and then how you're doing it. Okay, and I use this framework in every communication or communicative situation. Okay, so this is the why, what, how. Okay, more advanced. Another communication technique is like the pyramid principle, but I think this is everyone knows about it. And another one is, I mean, if you just tell stories, it's like, I mean, there's also more advanced storytelling, and this is where you have to kind of position your client in the situation of a hero, okay, where they have to overcome an obstacle, and you are kind of, you know, their mentor, helping them to, you know, cross that bridge, and helping them to, you know, master this adventure. Okay, it's like every normal story works. Okay, and it also works if you tell that story to your client. Okay, so maybe if you have a new CEO, you can tell the story. Hey, you're a new CEO, and I know, you know, it's an exciting journey ahead, but there are many obstacles. Okay, you know, stock prices are going down. You know, economy is, you know, very hard at the moment. But I know that you have the thing, or have the skills to manage it, and I can show you how. How, okay, I developed, you know, or we have developed a certain analysis framework that helps you, you know, to overcome all of those obstacles, and at the end, you will succeed on your personal journey because you mastered your, you know, the main issue, and you're the hero of your story. Okay, so this is like a very simplified a version of what you could tell in a slide deck. Okay, if you apply more advanced storytelling techniques. But maybe yes, I can work on a checklist. But it's so difficult because you know, it highly depends on what kind of presentation you're building, and on what kind of situation, what kind of yeah, you know. Okay, or a short framework on deck building. I mean, so in a deck, structure is key. Okay, I mean, as I said, I would always start with why, then start the what, then explain the what, then the how, and use the pyramid principle. Okay, so you start with the management summary, then you, I mean, just to illustrate, okay, how I do it. Usually, in a longer presentation, I have a management summary. Okay, that's the top of the pyramid. After that, I will explain a framework probably, okay, or a bit, okay, where I can tell a story, okay. So this is more usually a more visualized graphic that one tells a story, and B helps me to structure my problem, okay. And this is usually the second slide. It's a framework, okay. And from that framework, I go down the streams, okay. So if the, yeah, so that's how I do it, okay. And then the rest of the presentation are those streams, okay. And this is a very rough structure, okay, but let me, if you're interested in that, I can do, you know, more sophisticated talk and video about that. Good. Guys, I'm sorry, I have to go to bed. It's very late already. And thank you for the questions. Thank you for your time. As always, it was a pleasure. And I will talk to you tomorrow, okay? Goodbye.